Black Forest haunting Germany. Imagine walking through a forest where the trees seem to swallow the light, their towering trunks reaching into the sky like dark sentinels. A place so silent, yet so alive with a sense of unease, that you can feel the ground beneath your feet tremble, as if something ancient stirs in the earth. Deep within the heart of Germany lies such a place, the Black Forest. For centuries, it has been shrouded in mystery, a place of beauty and danger. But what if I told you that something far darker resides within its shadows? Something that has haunted this forest for generations, waiting for the next unsuspecting soul to wander too close. It started innocently enough, an old family cabin tucked away in the dense woods. The Muller family, eager to escape the hustle and bustle of city life, bought the property in the early 1980s. It seemed perfect, a peaceful retreat, far from the worries of the world. The cabin was old, but charming, with a small fireplace that crackled warmly on cold nights and windows that looked out over the endless expanse of trees. But the moment they stepped foot on the land, they noticed something off. It wasn't the forest itself, it was the air. Thick, heavy, almost suffocating, as if the trees themselves were watching them. The first few days were uneventful, filled with hiking and exploration. But as night fell, things began to change. It started with strange noises, distant whispers carried on the wind, too soft to make out, but unmistakably there. Then came the footsteps, faint at first, but growing louder each night. The family would hear them on the porch, pacing back and forth, as if someone was waiting outside, just beyond the threshold. But no one was ever there. As the days wore on, the house grew colder. No matter how high the fire blazed, a chill seeped into every room, creeping into their bones. The walls seemed to close in on them at night, the darkness so thick that even the smallest flicker of light seemed powerless against it. But the worst was yet to come. One evening, as the family sat around the dinner table, a loud crash echoed through the cabin. The dishes rattled, and the lights flickered. The father, Hans, rushed to the kitchen to find nothing out of place. But when he turned back to the table, his heart froze. His daughter, Greta, was no longer sitting at her place. In the distance, through the window, he saw her standing in the woods, staring into the darkness, as if in a trance. Her face was pale, her eyes wide, and her body unmoving. He ran outside, calling her name, but she wouldn't respond. When he reached her, she turned to him with a blank expression and said, in a voice not her own, "It's not safe here. It's watching." That was when they knew something was wrong. The following night, Greta's dreams turned into nightmares. She would wake, sweating and screaming, saying she had seen shadows moving among the trees, dark, twisted shapes that lurked just out of sight, following her wherever she went. But it wasn't just Greta. The whole family began to see them, the figures that flitted just beyond the tree line, barely visible but undeniably present. Each one more distorted than the last, with twisted limbs and hollow, empty eyes that seemed to gaze directly into their souls. Hans, desperate for answers, began researching the history of the land. What he found was far more terrifying than anything he could have imagined. Centuries ago, the Black Forest was the site of numerous unspeakable rituals, pagan ceremonies meant to invoke ancient spirits and dark forces. The forest had been a sacred place for the occult, and many believed that the souls of those who perished in the rituals still wandered the woods, trapped between this world and the next. The spirits had not been at peace, and their anger had festered for hundreds of years. Now they were waking. The final night in the cabin was the most terrifying. As the family tried to pack their belongings and leave, the forest seemed to close in on them. The trees twisted and groaned, the wind howling through the branches like the voices of the dead. The footsteps outside grew louder, pounding against the walls as if something or someone was trying to break in. Hans grabbed his family and fled into the woods, but no matter how far they ran, the forest seemed to stretch on endlessly, as though the very land itself was trapping them. They ran through the dark, through the dense fog that had suddenly settled over the ground, until they finally emerged onto a road, only to find that the cabin was nowhere to be seen. It had vanished. The Muller family was never seen again. Authorities searched for days but found no trace of them, and the cabin itself seemed to have disappeared, as though swallowed whole by the Black Forest. Locals say that on certain nights, you can still hear the faint sounds of their screams carried on the wind, and some even claim to see a family wandering in the distance, trapped forever in the haunted depths of the forest. If you ever find yourself near the Black Forest, especially on a moonless night, listen carefully. You might just hear the whispers in the wind, the echo of footsteps following you, or the faint cry of a child in the distance. And if you do, you may want to turn around, because you'll never know what's lurking just beyond the trees, watching, waiting for the next lost soul to wander too far into the darkness.